This is a pork tenderloin. First, I wanted to mention thank you to one of my viewers who also has his own YouTube channel. His name is his YouTube channel name is Ford F-150 1966s. If you look to, if you're on my YouTube channel, which hopefully you are, if you're not, just go up to the top left and click on the link to my name, CookNGobble, or click the subscribe button. It'll take you right to my YouTube channel if you're just on plain old YouTube. And if you look down to the right hand side of the screen over there where it says featured channels, his is the first one listed there. He's been kind enough to mention me in a few of his videos, and he has a variety of cooking videos, automotive repair, hunting, and a few other things, I believe. Check it out. I'm sure you'll find something you like there, something interesting to capture your attention for a while. So, thank you. And on to the pork tenderloin. I'm going to make some sweet and sour pork. Very simple, very easy. Like most of the things I do in my videos, I try to not so much make them a health food, but make them lean in the direction of being healthier. I need to lose weight, and it won't hurt me to eat healthier, eat more nutritiously sound foods, and so I try to take a few steps more, if possible, in the direction of being healthier. So I try not to buy pre-packaged, pre-made things like sweet and sour sauce or already made up pork you buy in a frozen food section in a box in the freezer or whatever. So this is a whole pork tenderloin. It's a whole thing, not to be confused with a pork loin. The pork loin is much bigger than this. A pork loin is going to be 4 to 5, maybe even 6 times bigger than this. This is the tenderloin. So first off, I'm going to open up the packaging. Obviously, that's a pretty obvious thing to do since we don't want to eat the plastic. And there's what it looks like out of the package. And we need to do a little trimming. You can see this area right here. If you're not familiar with it, it's called the silver skin. And you're thinking, it looks like fat to me. Well, there is a layer of fat on there, and you'll see here. It's best, I found, to use a sharp boning knife, very flexible, rather than a big chef's knife. Go underneath the fat and just pull upwards as you're slicing to try to leave as much meat as possible. And you can see here the fibers there. You can see it should show up pretty well in the video. That's incredibly chewy and pretty much impossible to eat. It's super tough, but it's also very thin and easy to remove. Just pull up and slightly angle the knife blade up a little bit, and just take your time. Try not to take too much meat off. And get rid of that inedible part of the pork loin here. It's not a whole lot of it there, but you definitely want to remove as much as possible. The silver skin is just, it's not cook and gobble good, it's not good, period. There, that looks pretty good. It's a very lean cut of meat. If there's any silver skin left, it's very minor and won't pose a problem. What I'm going to do to start with is make a really simple sweet and sour sauce. Don't have to cook it, just going to warm it up. You could use it cold if you preferred. But I'm just going to warm it up pretty nicely. This is just some crushed pineapple. You can use fresh. I went to the store and they had small pineapples that were almost $4 a piece, so I decided I would pass this time and I would use the canned. It's not quite as good as fresh, obviously, but it's still very, very tasty. You don't really need to measure things. Once you get it figured out to what you want it to be, you might want to write down your measurements then if you need to, because you can adjust it so easily to make it where you want. Go with about medium, probably actually closer to low. Just at best you want it just to simmer very, very lightly. Don't want to boil it, just very lightly simmer. So I'm going to pour a little bit of the juice there. Don't use too much of the pineapple juice, just a touch. And use some of this chunky pineapple. The pineapple is going to be the sweet and the sweet and sour here. That's probably about a quarter of a cup, a really good quarter of a cupful there. And because I was so irritated that pineapples were so small and so expensive, I completely forgot to buy fresh limes. And I like fresh limes because I like to put some of the pulp from the lime in with the pulp from the pineapple. But of course, I forgot. But all is not lost. I always keep some lime juice. Again, it's not the same thing as fresh. But in a pinch, when you forget like I did, it'll work out fine. I use this, I add it to my iced tea once in a while, or for emergencies. So I'm going to go with a couple of tablespoons. Again, you don't need to worry about measuring too much. I like things to be slightly different each time I make it. I don't have a problem with that. I don't mind if it's a little different each time I make it. It adds a little variety, a little more interesting things to my plate sometimes. But I know some people, they want to measure everything exact, everything precise, so it comes out the same way every time. And that's okay, that's fine. Everybody's different. And if that's the way you like it, then by all means, definitely measure it out so you have the exact same thing each time. Now again, that's all you need. Pineapple and lime juice. If you want to make it more of an Asian flavored sweet and sour, you could add some ginger to it, maybe a splash of soy sauce. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I love cherries. Cherries are probably my favorite fruit. Cherry pie, cherry pop, or soda, depending on where you live, what you call it. Anything with cherry, I pretty much love. So, that being said, I've got some cherry preserves here. I'm going to add a nice heaping spoonful. I said a nice heaping spoonful. This is a teaspoon. Since I said I love cherries, I'm going to add a little more. Here we go. And if you do this, you can use whatever fruit you like. If you want to use some orange marmalade, you can use strawberry preserves. You can use anything you like. Fruit and pork go together very, very well. They really work nicely together. I want that to reduce down a little bit. I'm even going to go ahead and add just a hair more cherries there. Because I'm in the mood for that right now. See how thin that is? So I'm going to let that reduce down to where it's a little thicker. If you really wanted to, you could thicken it up with a little bit of cornstarch. Add a little bit of, get just a little teaspoon of water, cold water, add the cornstarch to it, and then stir that in here, and it will thicken it up. But I'm just going to let this reduce down. That'll be just fine. I'll let that go for a while. I'll move it to another burner. And the pork loin is a little bit too big for this skillet. This is a 10-inch skillet. But it'll work very well for this video anyway. It'll make it easier to see. You can cook in the oven. You can cook it on the grill. You can cook it in the skillet like this, obviously. Whatever will work out best for you. The most important part is the temperature, known as the IT, which means the internal temperature of the meat. The USDA, that's the U.S. Department of Agriculture, says, or they recommend, that all pork, such as this, be cooked to an internal temperature of at least 145 degrees before removing it from the heat source. Ground pork and other ground meats, I believe they say you should go to 165 to be safe. Your grandparents probably cooked it to 185 degrees or better because they were told to do that. We don't need to do that anymore. We don't need to do that anymore. We just need to cook it till it's done and it's safe to eat. If it's a little bit pink in the center, that's safe. It's not dangerous. That danger went away probably in the late 60s, early 70s, probably somewhere in that time period. So I'm going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil here. Not much, just a little. I'm going to cook this at approximately 350 degrees. I'm going to try to get a nice sear, a nice char on the outside of the pork tenderloin to get the flavor I want, and let the internal temperature come up to 145 before we take it off. If you want to do it in the oven or on the grill, you can use a thermometer probe that you would insert into the meat to monitor the temperature. This way it's a little bit more awkward because I've got to turn it over several times, so it's going to be difficult to use a temperature probe in that manner. But we'll go with this. I'm going to season it very lightly. This is a good general purpose seasoning. It's good for pork, beef, poultry, fish, pretty much everything. You don't have to season this at all if you don't want to. Just let the sweet and sour sauce do the flavoring for you if you like. But I like to add, like a lot of cooks, chefs on TV might say, layers of flavor. So I've got this is set about medium to medium high, which will be in the range of 350, 360 degrees approximately. See, we're starting to get some color on it already there. Some good color there. So I'm just going to keep turning this till it has a nice color all around. And the internal temperature is 145. My digital thermometer here tells me it just hit 145 degrees internal. So I'm going to take it off. And let it rest on this cutting board here, which you can kind of see there in the background. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour this sauce, the sweet and sour sauce, right into the skillet here where I cooked the pork tenderloin. Get some of that really good pork flavor. I'm going to go ahead and add another little splash of lime juice there because I cooked off some of it right there the last second. That ought to do it. By the way, since I had used this cutting board to put the raw pork on, I washed it out very, very thoroughly before I am reusing it now with the cooked meat. I'm going to let this pork tenderloin rest for about 8 to 10 minutes before I cut into it. Some people asked why do you want to do that? Well, you could cut into it right now if you wanted to, but when it's being that hot, just coming off the skillet, the juices are going to leak out really fast if you cut into it right now. So if you give the meat, any meat, the chance to cool down for a few minutes or so, like a turkey, you might want to let it cool down for half an hour, 45 minutes, because it's a large piece of meat. This one, 8 to 10 minutes, cool down should be fine. And then when we slice into it, it's still going to release some juice onto the cutting board, but it won't be nearly as much as it would if we cut into it right now. So, about 8 more minutes, then we'll cut it and plate it up. And you can serve it with whatever vegetables you like, rice or noodles as well, rice and vegetables, whatever you like. It's your choice. Make it the way you like it. Make any changes you want to. Be sure and taste the sweet and sour sauce you made here, and make sure taste it at the beginning when you first start, and give it a little taste now. It's pineapple, cherry, and pork. What else would you expect it to be? It's got a little tang to it from the lime juice. It's very good. You can add, if you like it really tangy and limey, you add more lime. If you want to make it, like I said earlier, more of an Asian flavor, add some ginger, maybe a dash of soy sauce. Play around with it, make whatever changes you want. Get the flavor to what you like best. Just use this as a starting point. Most of my videos, that's what I've done, is just give you a starting point, and you can make changes to the ingredients any way you want, so that you can get it to be your food, your meal, the way you like it best. If you have a noisy cat, she might want to say how she likes to cook too. So she just woke up. She's being a little noisy right now. Well, it's been 8 minutes. I cut a little bit off the end here for my cat. She was getting a little impatient there. You can slice these, a 1/4 inch, half inch thick if you like. And I'm going to do a little bit sharper of an angle here. Just, I think it looks more interesting. And my cat just scarfed down her pork, and she's wanting more. You can just barely see in the center there It's a little hint of pink. This is actually about 147 degrees right now. And it's perfectly safe, perfectly good, perfectly wonderful. It's even good just like this without any sweet and sour sauce. But I'm going to go ahead and plate some up for you. I switched to a smaller bowl here for the sweet and sour sauce. The other one was just kind of oversized for this plate. And there we go. A little sweet and sour pork. And I made a little rice on the side. Let me zoom in a little bit, give you a closer view. Very easy sweet and sour pork with a little bit of rice on the side. Pork tenderloin takes roughly right around an hour to cook. It took me right about an hour in that skillet to cook it. Same thing in the oven. It'll take you right about an hour approximately, give or take a little bit. So give it a try. I guarantee you it's Cook and Gobble good. See you next time on Cook and Gobble videos.